one of my great thrills when I'm calling fights is to be able to look to my right and watch you and Matt Serra work a corner. I can't even call the fight. I'm so entertained. I'm begging him to go to the corner camp to bring you guys in. And I got to see Aljamain Sterling after the fight. I really did think I thought he fought well, and I really still believe his ceiling is very high. I think he's going to be wildly successful against most of the bantamweights in this division.
Yes.
Your thoughts on the fight against Assuncao and what it tells you now going forward?
No, without a doubt. Look, first off is wait, before I even go, Raphael Assuncao, total gentleman, great guy.
Yeah.
Not even, I hope anything that I say, not even, I wouldn't say anything bad about him. I got a chance to talk to him after the fight. He's just a really, really good guy. And talk about sportsmanship too, man. I mean, after Aljo got kicked in the balls the second time and the ref didn't call it, the guy did the right thing. He knew, it was an accident, obviously, but he gave Aljo time to recover. I watched that. Like, he didn't attack him right away, and, I'm saying 95% of the people would have used that and gone forward, but he really did give him a chance to recover. So I got nothing but really high praise for Raphael Assuncao. He's a sweetheart. He's got a great backstory, and I'm a big fan of him personally, and that's it. But with that being said, look, Aljo at this point, he's a work in progress. There's no question about it. I thought he did a couple. I think each fight he's growing. He's in there with guys that have more than double the fights he has. He's losing split decisions. Look, I thought he eked it out, the first and third. The third was easy to score. It wouldn't matter, though. You know what I mean? It wasn't the most exciting fight. I think they both had too much respect for each other. And, they're both two kind of counter punches, like, more of a standoff. But, I mean, I think Aljo, you could at least see, is an athletic dude. And when he gets his head together, and I think he started in the third. If we would have had the third round and he just went out there with a little more of a fuck you attitude and just went for it, I think you would have saw a different fight. And that's what I'm working with him. I'm going to say he's a work in progress. I would have loved to have had that win because I think he showed improvement in a lot of areas. And I think he's only going to get better. He's just got to hang in there. And, it's two split decision losses at this point that, I think the Caraway fight was more clear because he got controlled on the floor. More this one, I really thought he edged out. I thought he looked like, to me, and I didn't look at the fight again. Some people are saying the judges might have got swayed with the knockdown that hit him in the shoulder. And I didn't like the fact that the ref didn't call that second nut shot. He made him, fight through it. And, after you get kicked in the balls once, you could even fake a kick to the balls. You're going to feel that pain in your head. So, I mean, he did, go through some adversity with that. And I think, again, Raphael really showed great sportsmanship. He really let that guy recover. He didn't attack him, and I think it was pretty obvious. I don't know if you saw that on the broadcast, but I'd have to look at it again. But in my head, I was like, wow, doing the right thing. And the ref, I think, really blew that.
Yeah, and I agree.
He did say, he screwed that up. That kid should have gotten a little more time. He didn't, give him any time. He made him fight. And who knows, you don't know if those little things mean anything, but super close fight either way. I think if you're an Aljamain Sterling fan, you think he won the fight. If you're a Raphael Assuncao fan, you think he won the fight. It's one of those things that, I don't know. You got to learn from. He should have never let it get that close, But he did show improvement. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It definitely could have gone, Aljo's way. That was a very, very close fight, and I know officially it's going to go down as a loss, but I think this is one of these fights that really going to elevate Aljo because I saw a big improvement in his striking. I thought he was very relaxed. He was using his long range weapons. He was putting himself in the proper range. He was mixing things up. I thought it was one of those fights that's going to get him move forward and give him some confidence heading forward. But how was Aljo mentally after the fight? Was he disappointed? No. Was he down?
No, I mean he was disappointed, but not like totally like bummed out. And he
was dancing with his shirt off. Let's be honest.
Yeah. How bad could it be, Kenny? I mean, this is part of the problem. No, I think he understands. Again, because in the third round he was like, man, it really felt good to get hit and come back. And look, I really put a lot of time into him this time, and I think I did the right thing. There was no surprises in that fight. Assuncao did exactly what he thought, what we thought he was going to do. I thought, he was a half inch off with some of those counters he was trying, but you know, he is going to grow. I agree with you. I think it's a great growing fight. You know, I always like to get a win, even if it's not decisive, just for your mental state. But if that doesn't bother him, I'm agreeing with Kenny. The sky's the limit. I think he's showing it. And if he stays on track, you know, I think I think people see, you know, if he just got to go for it. He's got to believe in himself a little more. He's very, very talented. And that was it. You know, I think you know, like, again, I got him out to Colorado 3 weeks before the fight. I think we covered that base. And when he left here, you know, I had him sparring the right people. And, you know, so I don't know if that, you know, he definitely had the cardio. I think he showed it in the third round. He started to wake up a little bit. But, yeah, no, it's you know, I agree. It's a loss, but I was actually happy with a lot of things. I would have liked to have seen a couple of things different, but I was happy with things. And again, he's got 2 split decision losses to both guys that have more than double the fights he has. And, you know, he's fighting the best guys in the division. Now, Assuncau's fought everybody. Caraway's, you know, got some good wins, and that's it. You know, I think he's right where he wants to be, but if he wants to get to that next level, he's really going to have to decide. You know, he's coming forward, and he's going to let his weapons go, because he's got. You could ask people, even in like when we're warming up in the locker room, he's good, man. He's really good. But when your range is off or you're a little apprehensive, it's going to hold you back a little bit. And I think he started to figure that out in the third round, and he was going for it. I would have loved to have seen that attitude in the first round.
Yeah. That's great analysis, and I think you guys did largely nail the preparation. And a couple other things on the Sterling fight. And it was tactical. There's no doubt about it. And maybe there wasn't the output that some people expected on either side. But Aljo's strike absorption rate, I don't know if you know this, but you deserve a lot of credit for what he's done defensively. He absorbs less than 1 significant strike per minute. He went into this fight with the best among active fighters, the best strike absorption rate. And again, after the Assuncao fight, Ray, not a scratch on him.
No, that's what I'm saying. And that's what he's got and he took a couple of shots, I think, but really not a scratch on him is right. So I think, you know, I'm agreeing with Kenny, even though it's a loss on your record, it is, you know, sometimes though, Kenny, you know, that loss mentally means something to you. I don't think it will with Aljo, but, you know, he's got to really I'd like to see him jump right back in there, like quick, and just keep going. And, you know, he's got the small window, and, you know, like, again, nobody's beating him up. Like you said, his absorption rate is low. Nobody's beating the crap out of him. I mean, Caraway almost finished him, and he gassed out. He learned from that. And this fight, he's growing from too. He was in there with a guy that, you know, I think he beat Dillashaw right in a split decision, or he lost a split decision to
he beat him.
The first time.
He beat him.
He beat him.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, and I got to tell you, man, I thought the second Dillashaw fight with Assuncao was similar to this. I think, you know, the guy stayed on the outside. I think Dillashaw took a couple of shots, but he stayed focused on his game plan. He had a couple of better takedown stuff. But, you know, Assuncao's tough, man. He's not going anywhere either. You know, nobody's really putting him away. So Aljo's in a good spot, man. He really is. So I hope he just, you know, stays on track. And, again, we definitely changed things up for this fight, and I'm happy to see that he was willing to go in there and try. And if he listens, he's really going to get better, and he's going to be hard to deal with. I could promise you that. But, you know, he's on the right track, though, for sure.
All right, and then my final thought on the fight, again, this based upon my conversation with Sterling in the lobby after the fight. He said he felt like the takedown would be there, but that Assuncao really didn't throw a lot of combinations or volume, so it made it very easy for him to throw a 1-2 and then sprawl relatively quickly. So Aljo, you know, he had some success, obviously, to the body early in the fight, but it seemed like there were limited opportunities for a takedown because Assuncao was expectant that one would be coming.
Right. You know, but you can see the other thing, too, even with that. And, look, I would have liked to have seen a couple more takedown attempts, but, you know, he's the guy in there. He's feeling it. I think, you know, Aljo's very analytical. Like, I think you could figure out by talking to him. So he is breaking it down in his head. But we don't want, you know, paralysis by analysis. You know what I mean? You got to go for shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
sometimes you overanalyze, and that's where I think he's going to run into a little trouble. I don't want him analyzing that much. You know what I mean? You got to believe in what you do. He's a good wrestler. He's great in the scrambles. And, you know, I wish he would have forced that a little bit. He did a lot of cage wrestling for this fight. I would like to have seen him, you know, back him up to the cage and go for it. But you could see even when Aljo was faking the takedowns or his fakes, he was freezing the Assuncao. I mean, his fakes I thought were on point, man. He kept that guy at bay. He didn't really know what to do. And sometimes, like, when I was talking to people after, I was like, what did this, like, look, it was a close fight, but what did Assuncao really do to win that fight? Like, was it, it's not an impressive fight, either way for the fans, activity-wise, but, I'm not really sure what he did. I mean, I don't think Aljo got touched that much. And, it's just one of those fights. You knew somebody's heart was getting broken at the end of that.
Yeah.
I think, even Matt tried to implore him on, in the third round because it was just too close, you know what I mean? And I thought Aljo did a good job at just, controlling everything and moving around and, trying some different stuff. But, it is what it is. And as long as he grows from it. But, yeah, he's the guy that felt the takedown thing to get the thing. I would have liked to have seen more attempts on that, but he told me the same thing he told you.
Interesting. All right.